Let's go to the next question because Jay's got a real good question here about employees. Let's get to that. I work in the construction industry, and many of our people don't have any documentation as far as being able to pay taxes on them. What is my legal responsibility as far as 1099s? And that's Jay. You know, that's a very sensitive question, a very sensitive topic there. And you know, when you're dealing with construction and employees and different people, you got to be real careful. I'm going to just say that. But Rick, you know, somebody doesn't have proper documentation. How do you handle it?
Yeah, that's so everybody needs employment authorization unless you have a green card. But if you are here on a visa, and it depends on what visa you're on, you may not even be entitled to work authorization within the United States. And there's a certain form that you'll need to fill out. Now, in terms of this, 1099s, right?
You're not giving tax advice, right?
And I'm not giving tax advice,
just
right?
Let's be clear
exactly.
on that, Jay.
Right.
Neither one of us are giving you tax advice. You need to go see your accountant about that. But
exactly. In terms of 1099s, that's not work authorization, right? There's a specific work authorization, a specific form that you need to file. Usually here in Florida, most people are going to need to go through that E-Verify system, right? So for everybody, you need to fill out an I-9 for any of your employees, period, a Form I-9. But
now, and I'm going to take Jay's question and expand it a little bit, maybe help Jay out a little bit here, because I think I know what he's saying. Let's say Jay hires a roofing contractor, and the roofing contractor then has folks that are, you know, may not have proper documentation. If he pays the roofing contractor, and the roofing contractor, it's then on the roofing contractor, the subcontractor, to then pay everybody and go through the E-Verify system. Does the general contractor have to do that, or do you know?
You know, I wouldn't know offhand, but the thing is in terms of a 1099, you can use that classic, test from law school, and it's essentially the control test. You know, are they
I'm
in
having
your
nightmares now, Jay. Going back to
Are they
school.
in your uniform? Are they driving a truck with your logo? Are they going to your site? Right? Do you tell them where to go? Sounds like it
when
may
to go, how to give them the process,
what their hours are going to be, when their lunch break is. That sounds more like an employee and less like an independent contractor. So, you know, not giving tax advice, but that's a general rule of thumb you can use.
Jay, I think you're going to need to expand on this a little bit and get in front of Rick and talk with Rick for a few hours on this, because this can be very dicey. I mean, you know, you get into a situation, and I don't think it's happened here locally, but we've seen across the nation where you do see the ICE raids at construction sites. Up in Alabama, I mean, even though they had there was a Korean plant there, and they had Korean engineers in to help.
That's right.
I mean, they put them in shackles and
right.
you know, took them off, and they, you know, it's engineers. It's not just the what I call the grunt workers, the guys that are in there sweating it out, you know, working 12 hours a day. It's the white collar folks as well.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, sometimes immigration policies can have longer reaching effects than we realize, right? That almost caused us somewhat of a geopolitical debacle there. And as a former veteran who was stationed in Korea, you know, there's a lot of U.S. troops in South Korea. Definitely not the country you want to be taking chances on.
No, not at all. Folks, we're taking your questions live, 850-392-1544. You can email us at lawcall@wmbb.com. That's lawcall@wmbb.com. We've had some great questions here tonight, some great discussions. You know, so Rick, as we kind of wrap up this segment here, we're talking about, you know, adoptions, we're talking about employers. Is there a broad theme? Is there some broad general advice you can give folks?
Documentation for everything, documentation. We have some cases now where there are people who have children who are petitioning for their parents, right? This person may be in the United States for many number of years, and they fall under a special grandfathered provision, right? Whereas, anyway, the point is they need to document it, right? So how do you document that you were where you were 20, 25 years ago?
Right.
That's going to be a hard thing to do, right? So just trying to, especially in this digital age, if possible, document everything: birth certificates, child certificates, marriage certificates, divorce certificates, every ticket you pay. If you are, or someone you know is an immigrant, you're going to be going through a benefits process, or you're going to be requesting some sort of immigration benefit from the U.S. government, you need to be able to fully document pretty much every facet of your life, right? And that could be your marriage, you know, right? If you are married to a U.S. citizen and you are an immigrant and you are seeking a benefit, even the U.S. citizen, they're going to be looking at your bank accounts. They're going to be looking at your records. They're going to be asking you specific questions about your house and where do you keep your socks and all sorts of things, right? So it's a very invasive, intrusive process. So
Well, they don't want sham marriages. They don't want
exactly.
sham fiancés.
Exactly.
You know, they're trying to do that. They're intrusive for a reason.
Exactly, exactly. So it's, well, I say intrusive because usually it's a U.S. citizen
Right, yeah.
who's a little bit taken aback at, you know, everybody digging into their personal life. I say usually.
Oh, it's okay when
that's
it's those
always,
folks. It's
exactly.
okay when it's somebody else, but when it's me, no.
Right,
not
exactly. When
somebody,
you want to
right.
look at my bank records and ask me where I'm spending my money, then I have, you know. So, but anyway, the pretty much the rule of thumb, just document everything that you can, right? Pictures, photos, vacations. The more documentation that you have, if you're going through a process like any sort of immigration process, the benefit is in your favor.
Okay. Well, look, see, folks, we are a country of immigrants. We have rules and regulations. We want everybody who comes here to be welcomed here, and you know, it's a balancing test. It is not, you know, one side against the other. It is a balancing test. And as you said, you know, there are visas that go unused.
Yes.
You know, already because of the complication of the laws we have. We need to get our laws up to date with where we are. If we can do it with an app, let's do it with an app and biometrics and get on with it and take the next step that we need to do, and let's roll up our shirt sleeves and quit pointing fingers at each other and get something done.
That's right.
Folks, we're going, that's my little commentary about that. You know, because I represent folks, sometimes they do not have proper documentation, and it's a difficult and balanced test when I do that. And some of them have been here for a very, very long time. I mean, when I say they're, you know, as good as American, they have been here, their children have gone to school, they've had, you know, sometimes generations of children here, but, you know, Abuela is, you know, she doesn't have documentation. And you know, it is a balancing test, and we are dealing with human beings, and we want to treat them with treat everybody with respect. I mean, my family came over. I went, you know, got it traced back. Different rules, different times, but you know, let's go through it and figure the process out and work together to do that.